going to show you how I made these gray Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid little cartoon drawing cookies. So stay tuned and I will show you how. Here are the things you'll need: a square cookie cutter. I'm using Sky Blue Food Coloring by Wilton, a 1.5 inch round cookie cutter, black icing with a cereal tip, and an edible marker. Alright guys, let's get started. I will be using a tip 3 in a somewhat runny consistency. So I'm going to try to see if I can keep this squared enough. I'll do the best that I can. So I am using a tip 3 just to help me fill out this square a lot faster. And I have to spread out my icing to make sure I get that square. I have to do it quickly or else it'll start grabbing a crust, and once I put my blue in it, it's not going to want to sink in. So I have here a tip 1.5, or you can use a 0. They're very close to each other. They're pretty similar, and you can find these on eBay or Amazon. They'll run you around $4 or $5 with shipping. Okay, I really quickly poke these in so they don't stick out. And I'm going to kind of tap it a little bit so help it sink in a little bit. Wow, my white icing is starting to dry so fast, it's not letting it sink in, but that'll work. So I'm gonna let this dry for a couple hours because I am gonna do my outline, my picture outline in black, and I want to make sure that it doesn't get absorbed into my white. And sometimes if that happens, it'll create like a halo around that darker colored icing, and I want to avoid that. This is what you would need to do if you want to do the lines with an edible marker and a ruler. You have to give this a good 24 hours to dry. That way it could dry completely down to the core and then it's nice and firm. So what I'm going to do is I have this tray, which is good because the ruler will lay on top of the edge part here, and that will help me keep my ruler straight. And I think I'm going to decide to use the thicker one instead of the sharper, thinner one. Give me a thicker line, and I'm just going to hold it as firm as possible and then just run a line really quick. And they're going to be lighter than the ones made with the icing because it's just a different color. I mean, the shade of the color is still blue, but this is very, very light compared to that other color in the icing. And then you can do the lines as wide as you like. So as you see, it's very, very faint, but I was able to get those lines pretty straight, so I'm happy with that. But I think the best way to do it is just to go ahead and do the wet on wet and add the icing in the icing. But this looks a little bit more like real paper actually. The lines are just so thin, and it's a really light blue color. Alright, again I'm going to be using the thicker side of this edible marker, and this is by Rainbow Dust. And I have here, I think this is about 1 inch round cookie cutter, and I'm going to just center it here. And I'm going to do somewhat of a C shape. And I'm just going to go in the inside. Don't worry if the lines are not connected, because you're going to go over it with the icing. So just make sure that you don't make your line too thick. And then I'm going to make the nose. And then it has one eye right around here and the other make them too big because I got to fill those up. And I'm going to make this one looking a little sad. And then he has little hair. He has 3 little hairs at the top. And he's a little ear. And when he's sad, he kind of slouches a little, so it's going to have like a curved back. And here are his sleeves from his hands. So you can leave it like this if you like with just the edible marker, which is neat because it actually looks like you drew it, like it's actually from the book that's been drawn. But I think I will do them with the icing just so they could be nice and bold. But I think I would do it like this. That would look pretty neat as well. Okay, so here I have my little round cookie cutter and my edible marker, and I'm going to be using that thicker tip. And again, it's going to be somewhat like a C. Like that. And do his little ear, his nose, and one eye is really close to the end of that circle. And this one I'm going to do, he's kind of like talking or saying something. Must be a little bit excited. And that's going to be filled in. And then his body is just straight down. And his shoulders and his 3 little hairs. So I'm going to, of course, fill this in with my icing. So I'm going to move on to my last picture. I guess the last picture is pretty easy. Again, with the round circle. And you're going to do that C shape. And then I'm going to have the nose, the eye, and he's going to be smiling. His little hairs, his little ear, and his body. Cute. So I think that looks really neat. Alright, so again, you can just draw it and leave it as is. So that would look like so realistic. It looks like, you know, like the pages do in the book. But again, I think I'm going to go over it with the icing. Alright guys, so I have here some black and I have a tip 0. But you can use a 1. Just try not to get it bigger than that because they're just very small details in here. So you don't want them to get bunched up together and it'll lose the shape. So I'm going to start at the top. And just trace the circle. Very carefully, you don't want to lose that roundness. And then here I'm going to do the nose. And then just fill out the little hairs. Ear. Little smile. Trying to get these lines to go straight. So that's the best that I can do. So I'm gonna finish up the rest and let these dry, and that is all. Alright guys, that is all for this video. I hope you like how they turned out. Really easy to do, not that hard, requires a couple colors and just a little bit of art skills, but as you can see, they're not really hard to make. And if you have a Diary of a Wimpy Kid fan, I think they would really enjoy these. So give these a try. And it requires a couple colors and not that hard to make, really. Also, do not use a number 2 tip. As you see that one on the top right, it is very thick. Stick with a tip number 1 or 0, 00, 000, and they will give you that pencil line, thin outline. So try not to use a number 2. It's way too thick. Alright guys, I will let you go. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Stay tuned for more, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good one.